Alright, so today we're going to be going to see how far we can push Albedo free to play and what types of content we can beat, whether it's Abyss or Imaginarium Theater or anything else like that. Currently, he's Constellation 0 and he's talent level 1 across the board, so there's a very, very little investment so far. We're going to be leveling up to 188, and we're going to be focusing on his elemental skill and elemental burst damage as they both scale with defense and geo damage. Weapons-wise, we're going to be looking at that Flute of Espitzel, and we're going to be taking it up to level 80, since it is a free-to-play weapon that everybody can get, and it's new with the release of Notlin. I don't have Albedo's old signature 4-star weapon, otherwise that would be another good option to run, but, for today, we're going to be using this since the base elemental defense increase is just phenomenal, and at the same time, it doesn't necessarily need any refinements as well. For artifacts, I'm mostly going to be stripping my Ito of, what he's got currently, and we're going to play around with the defense percent or an attack percent sands on him to kind of see what's going to be happening in terms of total damage output, but we are going to be running the Husk of Opulent Dreams set. We could also run the Golden Troop set, but that's more for elemental skill types of scenarios, but I think we're going to stick with this just because his overall damage is going to be boosted. Alright, so for Albedo, I need to get a couple more runs in killing the Geo-Hypostasis. They're one of the most miserable bosses to kill in this game, and I highly recommend running a Claymore team with some type of Geo character and a Shielder. I'm going to be taking Zhongli for this instance, just to help kind of break down those Geo pillars. Same thing with Kanich, and, Zhongling and Bennett are kind of just thrown in there for that 25% team-wide attack buff. I'm going to show a run full of them, and then I'm just going to dig right into it. So for Albedo's talents, we need to get a couple copies of the Philosophies of Ballad and a couple of his blue books as well. That's these little books with the lyres on them here. In total, I got to get about 20 of the gold books and, around 40 of the blue books. Some green ones thrown in there as well. But it shouldn't take too much resin. If each run is around, 2 purple books with, condensed resin, I mean, we might be looking at like 8, 9 condensed, so it should be okay. Shouldn't go too bad. I'm going to hop right in here. I'm, going to take a Zhongling and a Bennett here because there is a pyro damage boost in this domain. And, just Kanich is my DPS and Zhongli is my shielder. So I went ahead and spared you guys the miserable parts about trying to get this guy's materials, but Albedo takes these things called Cecilia's. Oh my god. There's practically none on the map. I was looking at the interactive map, there's like a total of 37. So I was able to get enough to where, we could get him up to level 80. So we're going to go ahead and ascend him. He scales with geo damage bonus, and on top of the goblet that I have him running with, this is going to be perfect. So we're going to go ahead and take him up here. Just kind of going ahead and auto-adding everything. Let's see what his geo damage bonus is now. We're rocking... Ooh. We are rocking a total of 68.2% after we get his artifact leveled there, which we have. We're going to go ahead and take this weapon up here. We're doing the fluid. I already pre-farmed some of this stuff, so shouldn't be too crazy. Let's see here, total is 62%. I mean, that's pretty nice. And artifacts, I went ahead and switched over everything from Ito, so flower-wise, we're running this, 50 CV-ish flower with an additional 11% attack on there. We are also running this 20% crit damage flower or feather with ER and EM. The EM's a little bit helpful for crystallize, but it's not too essential. The energy recharge on here is nice, especially if we're running him solo, just to be able to get his burst up. Normally, Albedo acts as a battery, so you want a little bit more energy recharge on him typically. But in this scenario, it's, we kind of need a little bit less. We're going to go ahead and start out with the defense percent sands. I do have an attack percent sands that I have not leveled up yet, but we're going to check that out a little bit and see if the damage is a little bit better. But it's got about, 13% crit damage at level 16. Maybe we'll get a nice roll out of it. So for base attack, that'll be something we can check out as well. Goblet-wise, I got him running on a geo damage percent off piece offset. It's got 30% crit damage, so I mean I'm pretty happy about that. And the EM is kind of useless, but it's all right. And then just an absolute god awful crit rate circlet. I could not find anything better than this, and with it being on set, it is what it is. So overall stats right now, we'll dig into talents in a second, but overall stats, we're getting close to that 1 to 2 ratio that we like to see in terms of crit rate to crit damage. So hovering around 112 is okay, just from raw artifacts. So that's pretty nice. 120 ER is a little low, but it's all right. All right, so let's go ahead and level up his talents here. We're going to get each of his skill and his burst up to level 8, and we're going to go ahead and get that done. All right, now, so at level 80, at his current ascension, we're not going to take him up another level and 90 him because it's a little bit crazy. We're getting 588% on the burst here, which is pretty nice. And, each Fatal Blossom, which is triggered by this elemental skill here, the Fatal Blossoms are the little portions that jump off from his burst. We're doing 115% each. Pretty low cooldown. He's a good quick swap, and at 40 energy cost, it's pretty light, so it should be easy to rotate into it with around 120% ER. His elemental skill scales off of defense. It mostly does damage when you place it down, and it lasts for around 30 seconds. And it's scaled off of 200%, which is nice. I can dig into this a little bit more, but you can go ahead and read this if you're interested. But all this information is available inside of the Genshin character archive, so you can go ahead and check this out on your own if you'd like. Alright, so after a little bit of testing on my own, I kind of, determined that he was really starving for energy. So, in order for him to be viable, he's got to be this quick swap character option, while also being able to spam his burst and skill. His skill already has a short enough cooldown by itself, and the defense percent scaling on it is awesome. But, what I initially did was, I had him running this Flute of Espitzel, and I was achieving good burst numbers around, 25k, with a crit, but, that's assuming I could even get his burst up for that rotation. So then I initially switched to the Favonius Sword, which unfortunately is not a free-to-play weapon, just to see what that ER, would do for him in his kit. And it was actually phenomenal, just tacking on that extra 55% there. But currently there are no free-to-play options for running Albedo with an ER substat weapon. If you were lucky enough to get the Festering Desire, or Albedo Signature, which was the Cinnabar Spindle, you'd probably have a little bit of an easier time with his rotations. So what I ended up doing was to keep him free to play and to keep him running the same, option. I kept him on that Flute of Espitzel. I switched back to it. And then I went to an Elemental Recharge Sands here. So this rolled god awful, but it is an an energy recharge, sands that, will fit with the other glad piece, which is this goblet. That way I can at least squeeze out a little bit of extra, attack. I didn't switch around the feather or flower, but I did roll into another circlet. So I did end up getting a crit rate circlet. Main stat, awesome. These are garbage rolls, but there was an ER and EM substat, so I was like, let's roll with it. Let's see what we can do. And, his crit rate, or crit value actually ended up being quite similar. It's not too much of an adjustment, but I was able to bump his overall energy recharge up. Now, in a perfect world, you are still going to run that Husk set because of the 4-piece bonus. With him being off-field, you gain these curiosity stacks every 3 seconds, and that will boost his overall defense and geo damage, by up to like 24%. So you can get more damage out of him that way than purely just running 2-piece Husk, 2-piece attack. Glad, but this should be fine for now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run him as a quick swap in a mono geo team. I'm not going to use Pyro in the team to kind of inflate his numbers a little bit. I'm going to run him on Abyss Floor 9 just to kind of see and get a test for what he's like without any boosts. I'm going to run him on the second half against Ruin-type enemies here, so we don't have to worry about, anything kind of messing with his damage bonus. So we'll give this a run, see how it goes, and we'll see what some of his numbers look like. Now, I do like him with Ito quite a bit there, because as you can see, I was able to throw him up on top of the Albedo pedestal, which kept me out of reach of the Ruin Grader themselves, so I was able to kind of, stick in between that scenario. We're going to try out the next floor, see what his damage does. I ended up seeing like a... I don't know, like what was that, like a 21k just off the rip with no bonuses, no boosts, other than just being shielded in that mono geo team. I should have brought Kuzaha for the front side. Oh, Lord. Alright, let's try this out. Get up on the Ruin Grader on top there because his little, flower is poking down there, so that was a little bit tricky. Couldn't get up there. Still didn't really have an issue taking it out, though. Let's see. I don't mind taking his... Well, let's do this. I'm trying not to affect him. Cooldown is one thing, but, we're trying to get a fair look at what he's like here. Alright, let's see here. We'll quick swap into Goro, turn it around, plop his elemental skill down. Saw a little 9k there. Looks like we're hitting around 21 off the initial blast. Getting him down pretty quick there, down to half health. I mean, I know it is, floor level 9 here, but doesn't seem like his energy recharge is too bad at all here. Just, being around that 170 area, we're really kind of tearing into this guy. I mean, you could level up his normal attack, throw a Fab Sword on him, and then he could get, I guess, crit particles from that if you wanted to run him, main DPS here, but he seems to be doing pretty alright for himself. Alright, so we're gonna give floor 12 a go. It's a little bit hairy, you know, for this Abyss cycle because we don't really have anything good to test out Mono Geo on. I think I'm just gonna be able to try and get him through the first floor at least, try and attack this second half here. First half doesn't really make sense for a Mono Geo team. The shields are too thick, you know, the enemies are too strong, for at least what I currently got running. It doesn't make much sense. First half, you know, I need something with elements. I need something that's going to be able to take down that Terror Shroom without it taking God knows how long. Perhaps we can get through Kenki. I don't think we can get through this Wind Cutter because I think he does get up a shield. I beat this so long ago, I don't remember. And then, you know, if we can even get that far, the Mechanical Array should be okay. It doesn't have too many resistances off the top of my head. But let's go ahead and give this a go, see what's going on. I'll try and speed through the first half here with just a basic Hoots Out team, but I'm really going to try and avoid taking any buffs for this. Let's give this a run, see what's going on. I'm more concerned with this Rune Drake here, seeing how this goes. Slapping down the Goro. Obviously, we're going to have Ito be our main damage dealer. Alright, 20k with some extra little numbers in there. We're going to try and get this guy killed really quickly here. Shouldn't be too bad. Obviously, Ito's going to be dealing with a majority of the damage here, but if we can just cycle through the rotation. You know, it's not really optimal to be using Zhongli in these builds, or at least using Zhongli's ultimate, I should say. That looks like it was a non-crit there at 8k. That's not horrible, but, you know, with Chiori getting a re-release very soon, I'm thinking she's going to end up being the better go. At the end of the day, she's just an Albedo with better rotation, better movement, and, I mean, just better Albedo. Let's see if I can get up here with this. Oh, it won't even let me go up. That's unfortunate. I don't know if we're going to be able to clear this floor, honestly, but damage numbers aren't too bad. I just wish he was critting a little bit more. That's going to be the big thing, is just making sure you get enough crit value on your Albedo to be able to, you know, manage with damage. I mean, let's see here. 17k, and I mean, he's doing damage all around the board, so I mean, he's probably, you know, a little bit better not in single target scenarios. You know, if we're trying to deal a whole bunch of damage, geo damage across the board, maybe running him an ending wand team, something like that. But, you know, this isn't heinous, I guess. He just did a fair portion of damage on this Aramite here, so shouldn't be too bad. And it looks like he's dealing a lot of passive damage too with his crystals there. Now, these Hydras are just so tanky, you're not really going to be able to do much with them anyways. But I'm liking the 18k there and the little, you know, 1500 particulates coming off of that. It's not horrible, but, you know, Mono Geo is not really here for anything anymore. It's just, you need him as a battery, you need him as a quick swap, you need something else. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to make it through this Abyss here. I mean, it's passable, but just not enough damage is being dealt. You need to be able to trigger elemental reactions other than crystallize, you know, to kind of deal with these enemies here, especially this guy, since he's just so tanky. But he seems to be doing good as a battery. I will try out his plunging attacks here, though. I mean, maybe he's viable running Ito off of a little plunging attack from his ultimate. Let's actually get that going. Let's set this up. So let's plop this down. Let's get Ito into his ult here while he's on this thing and see if the plunging damage makes sense. 25k. Let's see if this gets him up fast enough. I'm getting some frame drops. Yeah, I don't necessarily know if that's viable when you can get, you know, 18Ks, 15Ks right off the rip here. Some of them not even critting with just a standard easy build. I do like that, though. I just think his damage spread's a little bit wider than what it should be for a single target. You know, I think it'd be better to avoid using him in this, you know, kind of scenario, but, I mean, I do like the 7K skill. I mean, the scaling isn't amazing, but, you know, it's pretty high. What are the chances we can get this guy down in the rest of 3 minutes? I think very, very low. But, yeah. Come on. Get going. Get going. Alright, one more Albedo here and he should be finished. Or not. Man. Wow, that was a struggle. Alright, well, let's try out something else next. Alright, so the last thing I'd like to do, you know, to kind of test out Albedo's numbers is just going to be taking a peek at, you know, what some of his residual damage looks like against, like, a standard world boss with no weaknesses. So we're just going to go up against Magu Kenki here. We'll get kind of just Albedo's elemental skill down here. We already got his burst prep, but you can see the elemental particles kind of just trimming in here. Looks like he's doing about, you know, 2,000. I just saw 1,500 there. He's boosting, you know, Zhongli's construct here. So he's doing a fair bit of damage. Plopping this down, you know, that was a non-crit. He's doing a fair bit of damage. Slamming down his ult, non-crit. He's doing just, you know, a fair amount of damage. It's nothing crazy. It's nothing, like, you know, really too noteworthy, honestly. I feel like Albedo as a character needs a little bit more love, but he is quite difficult to build. And if he's not shielded, if he's not getting that geo boost, you know, he probably needs a pyro damage boost as well, but just in terms of sheer damage, I mean, you're looking at a 16k there. You know, as long as you don't plop your, you know, your construct down on enemies, you're going to be able to kind of maintain a little bit more of that residual damage, especially by kind of keeping things together like this. So yeah, those are my thoughts, and thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you want to see next, and have a good one.